Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at writing the equation for exponential functions, but this time you're only given 2 points on the curve. So we're going to be writing equations that are going to take the form y equals a times b to the x, but in this particular case we only know 2 of the points. We don't know the starting value, what it starts at. We don't know what it goes by. We have to figure both of those out. But we do know 2 sets of x's and y's, so we do know 2 points that work. So here are 2 examples of what we're talking about. So if you want to pause the video and work these out, you can do that. I'm going to show the answers here right now. So if you go ahead and push pause before I put up the answers. So the answers are coming. Here they are. And so those are the 2 answers that we're going to look for, and let's see how we build those. If you want to pause the video and work them out before I show you all the answers, you can do that, or all the details, you can do that now. Here are the solutions, and here's how we come up with those. Now if you're going to work on 2 points on a curve, you're either starting with tables and you're going to keep working with the table, so you would be a table person, or you can start with the table and then you could kick into the equation. And so I'm going to show that for this first one. The other way to do it is to start by building 2 equations right away, building 2 equations, and then there are different things that you can do once you build 2 equations. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. So table person, what you would do is you would come down here and you'd say, okay, I'm going to start building a table. The -2 value is 1.125. The 4 value is 72. And you're going to go to town on that. I'll show you how the equation part does it here in just a second. So what you would do is like we did in the last video where you take next divided by previous. So I'm going to take 72 divided by 1.125. Again, that's next, the next number in your list divided by the previous. We've got that. Okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, well how far is it from -2 to 4? Well, that's 6 moves. So in 6 moves it changes this much. So I'm going to take the nth root, so the nth root of next divided by previous, and so in this case that's the 6th root of 72 divided by 1.125. Again, calculator usage is kind of important. So if you can go 6 math and then push the 5, because that's you get the 6th root, and then parentheses 72 divided by 1.125, and you've got 2 as your solution. So that means it's doubling every time. So it's 2 times larger. So in this case my multiplier then is b, my b value is 2. So now I know the b value too. This is key. Everyone kind of has to do this to figure out your multiplier. Once you know that, if you're a table person, that means you want to stick in the table, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take your numbers and you're going to put them back into the table. What I mean by your numbers is the b value too. Well, I know that this is going to get 2 times larger, so 1.125, 2 times larger. Well, that's kind of easy because what you got to do there is just double that. You get 2.5, or 2.25, excuse me. And then you would double that again, because that would be the -1 value, double that again to get the 0 value, and now you're sitting at 4.5. So now we know this thing starts at 4.5, and it's getting multiplied by 2 every time, so our equation is y equals 4.5 times 2 to the x power. And so that's what we're looking at there, and things are pretty good. Okay, that's if you use the table and then go back to the table to find your initial value. Table to find your multiplier, table to find your initial value. Well, somebody who does the table to find the multiplier doesn't have to use the table to find the initial value, because now you can use the equation, because the equation is y equals a times b to the x. Well, you just figured out your b value, which goes right here, so you can put a 2 right there, and then remember, anytime you're given a point, it's just an x and a y. So then I can go 72 equals a value, I don't know, times 2 to the x power, in this case 4. So 2 to the 4th power, that's just a number, that's 16. So a times 16 equals 72. Divide both sides by 16 to solve for your a value, and a equals 4.5. So that's the other way to get the initial value if you're going to use the equation instead. So 4.5 times my b value, which would be 2 to the x. And that's the same exact equation that we had here. So there are people who like to start with the equation and start with the table, excuse me, and then they stay with the table. Or you could start with the table and you can go to the equation to find your initial value. All right, let's take a look at it this way. If you're all about equations and you want to do number crunching, then build 2 equations. Remember, anytime you're given a point, it's an x and a y in disguise. So here we go. If I'm going to build 2 equations and they come from this form, y equals a times b to the x, then here's my x and my y. So here is my 21 going in for y equals a times b to the x. That'd be b to the 1st power. Next one, 106.3125 equals a times b to the 5th power. Now I've got two equations. This is a lot like a linear system. A linear system, when we have x's and y's stacked on top of each other, we use a strategy called elimination, where we add going down. Well, here, this is all multiplication based, so what we do to get rid of this, we do division going down. So to divide these two, we're going to do the next divided by previous strategy again. So we're going to take the next function divided by the previous, and when we do that, then our exponents are going to cancel. So I'm going to take the second equation divided by the first. So watch what happens here. B to the fifth power divided by b to the first power. So that would be b to the fifth divided by b to the first. Well, when you're doing division of exponents, we know that fifth power and 1 power, those are going to cancel. That's going to leave us b to the fourth. So now I've got b to the fourth. Well, then I've got a divided by a, because I'm taking the next equation divided by the previous. A divided by a is 1, so those cancel, equals. Then I take 106.3125 divided by 21, and when I do that, I'm going to get the number that I'm looking for. 106.3125 divided by 21 gives us the 5.0625. So 5.0625. And then what I want to do from there is I've got b to the fourth power, so take the fourth root. Take the fourth root. And now when I take the fourth root of that answer, which I can leave in my calculator, second math, and then go second answer, hit enter, and I get 1.5. That means my b value is 1.5. B, 1.5. So now I know what my multiplier is. The only other thing I need to do is figure out my a value. To figure out your a value, it's pretty easy because you've got all these set up in equation form, so you can plug that in for one of the b's. So I could just put it right here or right here. I'm going to pick this one because it's first power. So then 21 equals a times 1.5 to the first power. 1.5 to the first power, of course, is 1.5. Divide both sides by 1.5, and my a value is 14. So now I know my a value is 14, my multiplier is 1.5, and my equation is here. 14 times 1.5 to the x. So now you can see how to write equations for exponential functions given 2 points. You can either start with the table and work on it, or you can start by building two equations and divide the next equation by the previous equation. Good luck.